The Jobber's Delight podcast is brought to you by Pro Wrestling Legacy. Pro Wrestling means legacy, and legacy is forever. And the PWL podcast. Check out the PWL podcast 915 on YouTube. The following announcement has been paid for by the New World Order.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome to a new podcast called Jobber's Delight with your host, Arthur Wine. Say hello, Professor.
Hey, guys. What's up?
And I am the co-host. I am BC Dan from the PWL podcast. Me and Arthur are from the PWL podcast 915. This is a little side project that, me and Artie, like we had said previously in the podcast, we usually talk about old school wrestling. It's something that that we love. We grew up in the era of the 90s, and I guess you could say the more popular era, I guess you could say, right, Artie?
Oh, definitely, man, definitely.
We're talking about late or the mid 90s, early 2000s, mid 2000s, where it was like peak. I think between when the Monday Night Wars were around, I think that was peak wrestling, I guess you can say, because every casual fan was watching it at the time. And tonight's subject, me and Artie were talking about, is I just want to get his take, because I told my an old friend of ours, his name is Carlos. I was telling him I love getting the aspect from their version of how they grew up, watching certain things of wrestling. And one of the big groups that I was, really got me back into wrestling, because a little background on me is I used to watch wrestling in the 80s, when Hulk Hogan was around, Hillbilly Jim, kind of like the cartoony, era of wrestling. And maybe a little bit, when Lex Luger went to WWF, Bret Hart was around, at the time. I was around when the Montreal Screwjob came around. That was very interesting. We'll talk about that at a later date. But this group really, really got me back into wrestling. And to me, it just changed the whole format of your heel and face kind of thing. And it was the NWO. And Artie is very familiar with them, because the guy has the NWO tattoo on himself, just like I have a Bullet Club on me. I got some ink gun. So how did you get introduced to the NWO, Artie?
Oh, man, just like you, been a wrestling fan my whole life. WWF, WWE, they were the main dogs there. They ran the shows. WCW came in. The show was a little lackluster, to say the least. It wasn't as spectacular as WWE was. So, Ted Turner reached out. He got Eric Bischoff involved, and I feel like the Monday Night Wars that happened from that point on really just sculpted what wrestling is today, character wise and wrestling wise, and how to be a heel, how to be a face. And yeah, man, the classic Hogan turn. I mean, nobody's ever done a turn like that. I know Cena just tried to do one and it didn't even compare. So
Yeah, exactly.
Doing the
I
Hogan turn.
I think, yeah, exactly. I agree with you with that. With the Hogan turn was like the greatest turn of all time, because Hulk Hogan was an American icon. I understand that there's all this controversy with them. I really don't read too much into it. You know what I'm saying? But it is what it is. He said some horrible, heinous stuff. But it was Hulk Hogan, man, and he was the red and yellow, and the prayers, the vitamins, the training, all that stuff. And I showed a casual fan, a friend of ours, named Adrian. He was there at the Don't Cry Llorona show with us. He was there, and I was explaining to him, oh wow, because he asked me, hey, how did you get into wrestling and stuff? And I go, oh, I've been watching as a kid, as I had said. And I told him, I gotta send you this video. I told him, just check it out and let me know what you think. And it was Hogan's turn, man. And he was astonished. He goes, wow, man, the way the crowd reacted, man, and how invested they were in the storyline. And I go, I love that, man. And me personally, just to get off topic real quick, I think they could have done that with Roman Reigns back in 2018, 2019, but they took too long, man. And yeah, he turned eventually, but that, just like you said, it kind of fell flat, just like with the John Cena turn. It's like, too little, too late, man. that to me personally, I think that's the problem with WWE is that when Vince McMahon was at the helm, he really didn't give a rat's ass what the fan thought. It's like the fans are going to tell you, hey, man, this would be great right now. And they wait like maybe too late. And it's like it kind of falls flat. What do you think, Art?
Oh yeah, man, I agree. Vince McMahon was a little power hungry, if you could say. He really didn't listen to the fans, and he didn't listen to his workers neither. Wrestlers had
Exactly.
ideas. Wrestlers wanted to do their own thing and kind of try new stuff. And I feel that's where Bischoff came in and said, "Hey, McMahon's not letting you do it over there.
Yeah,
Come over here, do what you want, man. And see how it goes." So,
exactly. Exactly.
WCW started bringing all these ex WWF guys in. I mean, other than Sting, NWO was just flooded with former McMahon boys.
Oh yeah, oh yeah.
And
And I remember when they first came out, when I first saw, like, I started watching like WCW. 'Cause as a matter of fact, I think I would I would kind of like check out WWF at the time, but I wasn't too invested in it. Because I mean, at the time, like Stone Cold was barely coming up. He was barely getting his 316 thing going on, and then The Rock was in the Nation of Domination. And what was funny is that I started watching WCW. I saw Scott Hall come out, and I was like, at the time, I was like, shoes, you're talking about like 1996. I was 19 years old, man. And what I liked about those eras, man, is there wasn't a lot of internet, so you really didn't know what was happening. And I at one point I thought it was real because I would see Scott Hall go in the ring with a baseball bat, and I'm thinking, wow, man, where's security? You know what I'm saying? It's like, this is crazy. This guy's just coming out of the crowd and jumping in the ring, and to me back then that was completely unheard of.
yeah, man. So you kind of it put it in your head is McMahon sending some kind of invasion over there? Trying to kill his competition.
Yes,
Uh,
exactly. And when Kevin Nash came out second, I was like, wow, man, like now Kevin Nash, Big Daddy Cool, man, Diesel, now he's over here. And I'm thinking, wow, man, this is crazy. Like, I can't believe they're allowing this, man. And then back then I thought, wow, man, there's a crossover now. Finally a crossover we were wanting to see as we were kids, because I remember when World Class Championship Wrestling was around, I always wanted to see like the Fabulous Freebirds, go to WWF, or the Bonerics, the Boneric boys go out to WWF, and when I started seeing, like, yeah, I kind of got a tease of it because, like I said, like I wasn't too familiar with the business back then, where Ric Flair, the Nature Boy, I was like, wow, man, this guy's from NWA, WCW. He's in WWF now. That's crazy. So I took it as like a crossover. But when these guys came in, the outsiders, it was a completely different like feel to it. To me, it was a little more real.
oh yeah, definitely, man. Especially like nobody from WCW could really match up with them. They went in there and just started dominating. They took their bats, they took their gang style, and they just started running crazy over there, man.
Yes, exactly,
And
exactly.
nobody was safe, man.
Yeah, it was awesome because I like it, and it's like, I mean, no knock to WCW. I mean, they had some pretty big stars at the time, but like you said, it just, what do you think it was that they lacked that WWF had? I mean, yeah, of course you can't compare Hogan. Hogan was a juggernaut, but there's a point where WWF was kind of like, they had Shawn Michaels, they had Triple H before he was even Triple H. He was Hunter Hearst Helmsley, they
Right.
had Bret Hart, stuff like that. But then WCW had the Road Warriors, they had Lex Luger, they had Sting. They had the I think at one point was the Macho. Could you consider the Macho Man kind of, or was he still kind of like a WWF guy?
No, no, he was pretty established WCW guy at the time. And I feel what Ted Turner did right is he saw that his product was running a little flat,
Yeah.
and he went and tried to look for somebody. And luckily, he got Eric Bischoff, man.
Yes.
And
Yes.
Eric Bischoff came in and kind of didn't know the business, but knew who knew the business. He went to Hogan, he went to the big dogs, and he was
Yeah.
like, "Look, why does Vince McMahon run things?" So
Hmm.
they kind of let him know. And Bischoff's like, "Okay, run with it, man. Like, do what you got to do." So I think if it wasn't for Bischoff, WCW wouldn't have even lasted another what, maybe 5 years, and I think I'm being generous at that.
Yeah, I think so too. But to me, and we'll get a little later on into it, I think it was a kind of a double-edged sword because unfortunately he was giving these guys big money contracts and he was getting them guarantees, and that's like, I think kind of killed. WCW at the same time. But we'll talk about that a little bit later.
Right.
But when Hulk Hogan came out, and I mean, it was, I think it's one of the best compared to Jericho going to WWF. It's one of my all-time favorite times when he first came out as Y2J. But to me, Hulk Hogan's turn and his promo he did with Mean Gene Okerlund, that's got to be like one of the best promos I've ever seen in wrestling. I mean, it's like, it's just awesome, man. I get chills just thinking about it still because like, wait, do you know what Mean Gene? And oh man, he just goes off on the crowd, tell these people to shut up, and it's like, oh my god, this is Hulk Hogan, man. You know, it was awesome, man. I love that. I love it so much.
Yeah, man. And me, growing up, I was a Hogan fan. When he passed away recently, I'm not gonna lie, it hit me kind of hard.
Yeah, hey, we're
Um,
fans, man. I get
yeah,
it. I completely understand. You know, you get invested with these guys, man. You know, whether like I said, okay, he has a past, man, but I mean, who hasn't said heinous stuff? Don't get me wrong. You know what I mean? It's like, but that unfortunately that's the society we live in where it's like it's that woke culture where, you know, you certain people, a certain group of people can say something, but certain people can't. You know what I'm saying? And it's
right,
just a weird time, man. It's just weird times. But I feel you, bro. You know, you invested with these guys and it's cool, man. It's like a party because it's a part of your childhood, you know.
right, right, man. And at the time this was happening, like you said, it was like the late '90s, early 2000s. I was over there with the indie scene doing the EPWF stuff, and
Wow,
there was a couple of times where like some free agents would stop by. Rey Mysterio wrestled. I set up the
wow,
ring for him. Conan rolled through. Norman
Conan,
Smiley, and
wow.
these dudes were all part of that Monday Night War
The war,
monster.
exactly.
So it was cool, to get their take on everything. And Eddie never came by because Eddie was
Ah,
everybody wanted Eddie.
yes,
As
of
long as he
course.
could get his life in order, which he did, God rest
Yeah.
his soul. So that time for us being, I was in high school, man. So these guys were like our living legends at the time, and they
Oh
still are.
yeah. Oh yeah, of course,
Scott
man.
Hall, Hulk Hogan, they're always gonna go down, man, as legends, man.
Oh yeah, of course, man, of course. And the NWO, you know, when they came out, I think let's get to the players in the NWO where I think they kind of messed up. Like, you know, it was cool like when it was the three outs, it was Outsiders and Hulk Hogan. And then this is the one I still don't get, and I don't know why they did it. They brought in Ted DiBiase. You
Yeah,
know, I think he was like the fourth member at the time. And I was like, well, I mean, what is he gonna do? Be a manager or, you know, a mouthpiece? You know, because technically you really didn't need a mouthpiece because Hulk Hogan, I mean, all three of those guys could cut promos, you know,
yeah,
Hall, Nash, and Hogan. And then they brought in I think the fifth member was the Giant, I think,
yeah.
if
I
I'm
think
not
he was the one
mistaken.
that turned. Yeah,
I think he
yeah,
was the fifth one. I think they should have just stuck right there, man. Just take out DiBiase and leave those four. You know, maybe like a four horsemen kind of thing, except like evil four horsemen, like the end of like of course the New World Order. I think they should have stuck with that. But then Bischoff just got trigger happy, and he brought in after that. He brought Six Pac, you know, which was X Pac in WWF. Brought him in, which was I get it. You wanted a cruiserweight at the time. I mean, what are your thoughts on these additions at the time?
Man, I was okay with Six Pac coming in. He was part of that whole clique from WWE, so it kind
Uh,
of made sense. Bischoff made a play for a lot of guys, man. He made a play for Shawn Michaels. He made a play for Triple H.
I heard he
Yeah,
even made a play for Undertaker at one
yeah,
point,
man.
also.
And Undertaker, of course you're going to consider because I hear the money there was incredible.
Hmm.
Um, but hey, man, he stuck loyal. He stuck to McMahon, and at the end of the day, it did pay off because they won the wars. But I feel like when NWO got huge, I mean, they had guys from Mexico, had guys
Yeah,
from Japan, and I was
that
like,
was
man, it was like 30 guys would jump two dudes.
yeah,
Like
yeah.
it's crazy.
That's when it started getting silly. You know, what I mean, it was
Yeah,
like the Scott Norton was in it, and then
yeah,
Horace Hogan, and all these.
yeah,
I think what's his name, Louis Spicoli. I think at
yeah,
one point was in it. It was like it
yeah.
just got too. To me, like one of the best tag teams besides the Outsiders that the NWO did get right was Buff Bagwell and Scott Steiner. Man, oh
Oh yeah,
my, those guys were hilarious, bro.
yeah,
They were cool. They were just, dude, they made bad guys cool. That was the issue, man. It's like that's
yeah,
the first time I ever seen like where a heel was like cheered on because even in WWF, even in WCW, you had the bad guys. Like, I mean, I wasn't a big Horseman fan. I wasn't like back then because they were the bad guys. You know what I mean? Like the
right.
what's their name, Tully Blanchard and Arn Anderson. God, I couldn't stand them, dude, because dude, that's what kind of like I kind of compare the money line to those guys because it's a love-hate kind of thing. Like you hate these guys, but you like them, but then they always win. They find a way to win, and it pisses you off. You know what I mean?
Yeah, man. And you know, money line to me have a lot of outsiders in them, man. The whole Kevin Nash,
Yes,
you know, Big Kev, you got Big Henry,
yes,
you
yes.
got Scott Hall out there
Scott
with
Hall.
Ricky, you know,
Yep,
and
yep.
just good teams, man. And they were good chemistry. You know, I like the little thing where the NWO beat up everybody in the back and they threw Rey
Oh, that was
Mysterio into the
great. I forgot
trailer.
where they threw Rey Mysterio like a lawn dart. Oh,
Yeah, man.
that was
Yeah,
so. I saw that, man. And as a matter of fact, I love in the I think it was a biography or a documentary on them on the WWE Network where people saw when Rey Mysterio got thrown into the trailer and people actually thought it was real and they called the cops.
yeah. It
That's
was
how
good.
realistic it was back then, kids. That's how great wrestling was back then. I'm so glad we grew up in that era, Art. I'll tell you that
Oh
because we
yeah,
grew up
man.
in a great era of like wrestling was different, the music was different, it was innovative, it was different. You know, it was great, man.
Yeah, man. And just to show what Bischoff was willing to do at the time, you know, ECW was pretty big.
Oh
Um,
yeah,
they brought in the Sandman. I believe they called him Hardcore
hack,
Hack or something like
hardcore,
that.
yeah,
Yeah,
hardcore
man.
hack. Oh my god,
They
man.
brought in, you know, ICP and
I
props
see.
to those kids, man. They were giving good matches too.
Oh, ICP, dude. ICP is very underrated in the wrestling. And we'll have to talk about them also, man. I
Yeah,
want to make a show about these guys, man, because you know what? Like you might think they're a gimmick rap group and stuff, man, back in the 90s and early. They're still around, as a matter of fact, but not as
yeah,
not as popular as they were back then. But man, they would wrestle their asses off, man. They even had their own organization at one point. They got JCW, you know,
yeah, man.
Juggalo Championship Wrestling. But yeah, I mean, they brought in it was like they brought in what's it called? ICP. They brought in the Misfits. They brought in Master P at one point, you know,
Yeah,
WCW. You know, you
yeah.
could tell these guys are just like, in a way, they were spending money, but in a way, they were kind of throwing it away, you know, because it was kind of like, instead of it, I think where Bischoff messed up and with the NWO is, like I said, back to where like he was adding like 35 people in the NWO. But at the same time, he really wasn't investing in his younger talent. You know, he was just like kind of making them like low card, you know, mid card kind of guys, you know.
Yeah, man, because every segment you would see somehow the NWO was involved. Like they would come in and they would just stop the match, kick everybody's ass, and it was like, oh, okay, like this is the NWO show, right?
And that's it. And that's what
But,
everybody would wait for. That's what sucked. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Because like
man, and
it
you
sucked for
know,
everybody else on the show.
I don't know. I'm pretty sure you remember when Nitro came to El Paso,
Yes, my brother
and
went.
yeah, man, it was a great show. You know, they had again like 15 NWO guys beating up Sting, and and you know Lex Luger came out, and you know I booed the shit out of the guy. I'd never been a Luger fan. Um, but you know the El Paso crowd was very heel that
Oh
night.
yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah, and I remember they even they pretty much booed Larry Zabisco out of the building,
Wow. Wow.
and it just goes to show you, man, that the NWO, as much as they try to be bad guys, they were just fan favorites, man.
Exactly. That's what I'm telling you. It goes back to where like Bishop is like the back to the double-edged sword where it's like you're supposed to be booing these guys, but they're cheering for them and all your faces are getting booed. You know, it's kind of like, oh, it kind of sucks. You know what I mean? It kind of killed that old school dynamic, but at the same time, it was new school where it was cool, it was okay to cheer for the bad guy.
Right, man. You know, even Sting, man, he was the main guy fighting the NWO. Him and his bat would take out 40 of those guys, and eventually Sting turned NWO, you know,
That was
Wolfpack.
great.
So
Yeah, Wolfpack, exactly. But that's when kind of Wolfpack was like they were turning into like they were like the faces, I guess you can say,
right.
of the NWO because that's when like they did their own faction. Was it? I wasn't a big like you say, man. I wasn't a Luger fan either. I really don't get why they put him in the Wolfpack. I think they should have put like some cooler people in there, man. Like maybe some like shit. I would have settled for Juventud Guerrera
Yeah,
and NWO Wolfpack. You know, the younger guys. You know, make that. You know. I wish the NWO had done what the Bullet Club does today, where like they change leaders like every couple of years. You know, I think keep it kind of fresh. You know, it would have been great to see like, you know, shit, even Jericho, you know, be a leader of the NWO or somebody else. You know, Sting be a leader, especially black and white Sting because it would have fit in perfect.
right, man. And you know, Sting was initially going to be that third member of the
Hmm.
NWO,
That's
and you
right.
know, Hogan came in with his political push, and you
Yeah.
know, he's Hulk Hogan, man. He started the whole thing.
Yeah. Yeah. And it
So
kind of
good
made
stuff.
more sense to the truth. I mean, it kind of would have been cool to like, it would have been interesting to see how I think it wouldn't have lasted as long as it did with Hogan because, Sting's a WCW guy. And it makes more sense where you got these guys from Stamford, Connecticut coming in, and then you're bringing in the biggest star of Connecticut, which is Hulk Hogan at the time. That it made perfect sense, and in a way, I'm glad they did that. I would have been interested in seeing how things would have ran with Sting as the leader of NWO.
No, yeah, man, I agree, man. You bring in Hogan. Hogan's like the number one Vince McMahon guy of all time. And you know, he's trying to take out this monster that's WCW. Why not do it with the biggest WWF monster, you know?
Yeah,
And
exactly,
it
exactly.
was
And it
good.
was and it was great when he turned into Hollywood Hogan. That was
Yeah.
it was just so funny, man. Like come out with the painted in black beard,
Yeah.
and
And
and,
the
and,
Jimi
and
Hendrix, you
Jimi
know.
Hendrix, yeah, our jam that I put on Instagram for us, it reminds me of that, man. And man, it was so cool. And like they were bringing in like Dennis Rodman and
Yeah.
Karl Malone, that was great. I mean, a lot of people think it's corny, but I think it was really cool because it was like I said, like Eric Bischoff, I'll give him credit, was like, okay, yeah, I get it. Vince McMahon would bring in like superstars, like back in the 80s, like Cyndi Lauper and Mr. T, stuff like that. Maybe later on he brought in Mike Tyson. I get that, but these guys actually like tried to wrestle. Even Jay Leno tried to wrestle at one point, which was horrible, but at least the dude tried. I'll give him a need for effort on that one.
Yeah, man. I mean, all you got to say is David Arquette held the title for a while. So,
That's where like I
um,
think I wasn't
yeah,
too fond of that, man. I don't know. I mean, that was all that wasn't. I didn't think that Bischoff was around. I think that was all Vince Russo, man, at the time.
yeah, man. And you know, you got to see why a lot of these guys left back to WWE. You know, Jericho was never a WWE guy, but he jumped ship. You
Yeah.
know, the Rascals being Eddie and Saturn and
The Radicals.
Marito and dare I say Benoit.
Yeah.
You know, even the Big Show, man, when he
Yeah.
turned up at what was it, Valentine
St.
Massacre?
Valentine's Day Massacre. Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
man, that was surprising, and
Yeah.
you know, you could just see the shift
Yeah.
slowly going, man. But like you said, man, once the NWO had like 35 guys,
Yeah, that was
what
ridiculous,
what were
man.
you even watching at that point? Where was the rest of
Exactly.
yeah,
Yeah, I mean, I might as well have like NWO members versus NWO members at that point. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Because like I said, like okay, they got kind of stale after that, but like I think they should have just kept it to maybe 4 or 5 guys, maybe five at the most, and then okay, like have a shift in leadership, man. Okay, oh my God, the outsiders turn on Hulk Hogan, they kicked him out as leader. Kevin Nash is now leader. All right, cool. Then later on, okay, like there's a shift in his power, power struggle with him and another wrestler, whoever you want to bring in at the time.
yeah, man. And you know that I think that's the main reason they did the Wolfpack because you know they were so keen on holding the NWO dynasty they had that they're like,
Yeah,
you know, let's just branch off of it.
yeah,
And you know,
exactly.
I did like the black and red. That's the tattoo I have.
Yeah, that's a cool color, man. Don't get me wrong, it's an awesome color,
You know,
but like I said, I think they shouldn't have had. I think Luger was like a completely like the odd man out in that group, man. Because it was cool because it was like Nash, Hall, is it Macho Man?
yeah,
And Conan. Conan was cool, man. He was like he was different. I even liked him in NWO, man. He would always talk a bunch of crap and start rapping and yo yo yo, and
yeah,
he brought that hip hop element kind of out to the mainstream, if I want to say that.
yeah, man. A little insight on that. You know, I know Conan pushed a lot for Eddie to be in the NWO,
Oh
and
wow, man, no way.
Eddie himself didn't really go for the idea.
Wow.
So
Oh
you know,
wow,
at
that
the
would
end
have
of
been cool, man.
yeah, man. At the end of the day, they started the LWO, which
Yeah,
I
that
think
kind of
was cool as shit, man. I mean, us
really. I
being
think
Mexicans,
I think it would have been better. Oh man, how can I? Because it just for some strange to me anyway. This is my opinion, man. I mean, they were cool because they brought like lucha libre to like the mainstream. They had like Silver King. They had who else did they have? Juventud. I think that's psychosis in it. So all these lucha stars that had come from ECW, as a matter of fact, that started
right?
there. I think I think it would have been cooler in ECW, to tell you the truth. I think it fit in more there because it's more like a misfit kind of clan.
Okay,
If
yeah.
you're not if that's just my opinion.
No, man, I agree. ECW had that platform where you could just do crazy spots everywhere. We know that's what lucha libre is, you know, how far we can jump off of something.
Yeah, and then like I mean, come on, man. They're like these lucha libre guys. They're like probably like probably like my girlfriend's size. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like 5'1", 5'2". You know what I'm saying? Little guys. Against you're going against Nash, who's like what, like 6'11", almost 7 feet.
Yeah, man. And when they did that little program with Nash versus Rey Mysterio,
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah,
whenever
yeah.
Mysterio lost his mask,
Yes.
they must have paid well for Mysterio to take that mask
It's
off.
the mask off. Yeah, then what's crazy is that that's kind and this is wrestling, guys. I understand, man, but it like to me, be like a like back then, being a hardcore wrestling fan, it kind of killed the facade, where like they take off his mask and he goes back to WWF or WWE and he has his mask again. It's like, oh, like, come on, dude. I seen you without a mask, bro. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, man. And his run without the mask was pretty good.
Yeah.
He
Oh yeah,
he put
with
the
the
horror in
filthy
the scene.
animals.
Yeah, yeah. Billy Kidman and him, and I believe Conan was in that too,
I
right?
think so too. The filthy
Yeah,
animals. Yeah.
Conan was
Yeah.
everywhere, man. Yeah, so
That's crazy, man. Yeah, because I mean, it's just it was so different. It was so cool, and like it just unfortunately that you know I understand some people say like certain things run their course, but I think you could have kept it fresh if you just would have been like rotating like certain angles, like leadership, and it would like a whole NWO versus NWO Civil War kind of thing. It's like they could have
right.
done so much, but I think I don't know, man. I don't know if do you think that Eric Bischoff just ran out of ideas, or it was about the time when they were kind of forcing him out when Ted Turner got forced out because of the AOL Time Warner merger.
Man, I feel if the show would have just been giving good numbers, because at the time when that happened, they were losing the war,
Yeah,
and I think just Bischoff let the higher wrestlers like the Hogans just run the show, and Hogan, God rest his soul, I love the guy, but he was out for himself. You know what
yeah.
I mean?
Unfortunately, yeah,
When they brought Russo in, I don't think they realized who Russo was and what he was gonna do and how like raunchy he was.
yeah. To me,
And
he was a Paul Heyman with money.
yeah,
That's the way I see it, because that's the way Heyman was in ECW. But Vince Russo had a backing and he had like a budget, and he was just doing like some weird ass matches, man, at the time.
yeah, man. My buddy Lee, I went to high school with him. We did the little journey in the Indies together.
Okay.
Um, he cannot stand that guy, man. And
Oh, Vince Russo.
yeah, he can't stand him.
Oh,
And I'm a Vince
wow.
Russo fan, but he just feels like Vince Russo is the main reason that the NWO and WCW shut down, because he was totally pro WCW NWO at the time, man. And
Wow, man.
yeah, man, because Vince was a different kind of person. Like, he really didn't care about his wrestlers; he cared about the product.
Yeah.
And when you went to WCW, the prisoners were running the prison. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So
there you go.
it was
That's pretty
crazy,
much
man.
it. Because at
Yeah, it
one
was,
point, I think Kevin Nash was booking, man. And,
yeah,
I mean, Nash is cool, man. I always thought he was so freaking cool, man. But booking wise, like, it's just some things like I get it, man. You want to expand your knowledge in the business and stuff, but I mean, come on, man. I love I love my Harley Davidson, but I don't work on my bike because I don't know what the hell I'm doing. You know what I mean?
right,
It's like
exactly.
same thing with him. Like, okay, you're in the biz, I get it, man. And but I mean, like, what upset me about him is that when he booked himself to beat Goldberg,
Yeah,
that I mean, of all people, it's like, come on, man, really, man. I would have preferred Scott Steiner. At least Scott Steiner's a little more realistic.
yeah, man. I would have preferred like some of the younger talent.
Hmm.
Props to the way they ended that match, though. I like the whole interference.
That
They
was cool.
they electrocuted him.
Yeah.
So they gave Goldberg, I mean, his justice. It wasn't just a clean win.
Yeah.
They pretty much had to kill the guy. Uh, but
Exactly.
me with Kevin Nash, yeah, he's one of the founding fathers, NWO. I'm a big NWO fan for life.
For life.
Um, but the dude, I mean, he was no Undertaker with athleticism. He was more of a
Yeah.
mouthpiece.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
Exactly.
for me, the soul of NWO will always be Scott Hall, because he started it.
Yeah.
And
Yeah. I agree. I agree.
without Scott Hall, I just don't think it would have been what it was, even with Kevin Nash.
Yeah. Exactly. He kind of reminds me of like Tama Tonga with the Bullet Club. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying? It's like Tama Tonga, like no matter what, he was never a leader or anything, but he was just like he was an OG from them. And it's like he was just badass. And like Scott Hall, man, props to him. God rest his soul also, man. He was Jesus, he was so cool, man. Even when he was raising Ramon. I mean, the dude was just. I swear, man, when he came out as Razor Ramon back in the day, I actually thought he was Cuban or like some kind of like Puerto Rican or something, man. And nah, he's a big old white boy.
Yeah, man. And even his run in ECW, getting on a little off the subject, after everything happened and WCW left, he had a little run in ECW.
Yeah.
And the dude, man, he's a pro wrestler and he loves it, and it shines everywhere he goes, man. And he's missed. He's missed.
Yeah, man. And I miss that about the old days, man. That's what kind of like sucks, man, because you got. Honestly, to me, like, I mean, I don't watch WWE anymore. I mean, it's been since like 2018 is the last time I saw it, but I really don't see like, anybody. I mean, maybe you do. I don't know. You watch the product, but like, I mean, the only ones I really know is like, of course, like Roman Reigns, Seth Rollins, Jesus, who else, man? Of course, Cody, but I mean, Cody's whatever. I think he's overrated, but that's my opinion. But yeah, like to me, like the two guys that are really like that are like gonna be legendary even when I'm an older dude is I'm gonna remember Seth Rollins and I'm gonna remember Roman Reigns. You know what I mean?
Right.
And back in the day, I mean, shoot, you had Hogan, you had Sting, you had Nash, you had Hall. I mean, there's so many names. Like I can even name names from the '80s that to me are legends. Bruiser Brody, this missing link, the Von Erichs, the Fabulous Freebirds, stuff like that.
Yeah, man. One of my top wrestler, it's between him and Eddie is Kurt Hennig, and
oh yeah, Mr. Perfect, man.
Yeah, man. So his transition from Mr. Perfect to WCW, he had his little run with NWO,
NWO, that's what I was gonna tell you. That's right, man. He was cool in that too.
Yeah, man. And then he even made the trip back to WWE. So these older guys, some of them were able to survive in this era, but like a lot of them weren't, and the current product doesn't have a lot of like these legends that you can tell are going to be Hall of Famers.
Yeah, exactly.
WWE has Braun Breaker, which is Scott Steiner's nephew.
Scott Steiner's son. Oh, his nephew?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And then they got they got Bronson Reed. He's a big boy, kind of a Vader-ish. He has he has a good Death Valley driver, man. Let me tell you.
Oh yeah.
And,
awesome.
Seth Rollins is breaking down on us a little bit.
Yeah, that dude reminds me of what's his name? God, Trent from AEW, man. He's like good wrestler, but always getting hurt, dude. He's always getting hurt.
Yeah, dude. And then,
that
his
sucks,
partner,
man.
Trent's partner too. What was his name?
Chuck Taylor, man.
He's out too with the ankle injury.
Yeah, I think he retired, man. I think he was like I think it's pretty serious, but it sucks about these guys, man, because like I mean, like just like you, man, with Hulk Hogan, it's like used to watching these guys, man, and I miss the Ring of Honor days, when it was like Chuck Taylor and Jay Lethal, all those guys, man. It's like it was so cool, but I mean, getting off the subject, but I mean, NWO is just like they changed wrestling forever. I think personally, that group alone, you wouldn't have DX, you wouldn't have, whoever, Dominic Mysterio's group. What the hell is the name of this? Is the
well,
it's, I don't know, one of those that whatever that stable. That you wouldn't have Bullet Club. You wouldn't have a ton of like all these like factions that came out at the time, because this is to me where WWF kind of panicked, because you had the NWO, and that's all WCW had. They had the NWO and Four Horsemen. That was it. That's the only two stables you had until, of course, LWO came on later on. But technically, those are your two big factions. But Vince panics and he puts DX. He puts the biker gang, the Disciples or whatever the hell those guys were called. Puts the Nation of Domination. He put like also all these stables, the Boricuas. That one was weird, man.
Yeah, man. Even the Undertaker had his little stable there for
that's a ministry, man, or something, wasn't it? Right at the time. Yeah, man. He had all these guys with them, man. But it was so. I mean, it was different, man. It was cool, man. But in your opinion, who was a better group at the time when they first got introduced, DX or NWO?
Man, DX, legends, Shawn Michaels, Triple H, but the way NWO started, the shock value,
Yes.
Nobody ever thought. I mean, you can just see the footage and see all the fans throwing the garbage in the ring. It's
Yes.
just, something we never thought. It's like a pope turning against the Catholic religion, man. It
Yep.
was just unheard of.
Yep.
But props to DX, man. They ended up winning the war.
Yeah.
It took them a while. But the original DX with China, Triple H, Shawn Michaels.
Michaels.
I mean, that's when it was golden, man.
Yeah.
And that's all they needed was those three.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's
Exactly.
when it
Which could have gone the same, like I said, for the NWO. I think they could have just gone with 4 or 5 at max 5, it would have been
right.
perfect. But
Yeah.
they just got too popular, man. That's what I'm telling you. It's like at the end of the day, I get it, man. You want to sell merchandise too, It's those NWO shirts were selling like hotcakes back then when I was a kid. Yeah.
Right. To this
And
day.
yeah, exactly to this day, exactly also, man. And the DX shirts were just awesome too, man. It was just so much fun, man. It was so cool back then.
Yeah, man, and it's cool to see when you go to see a legacy show. You see Rick doing the chops, doing the DX, suck it symbol,
Yeah, yes,
and then
yes, man.
Midas, and you can tell all these kids,
Are
even
inspired
though they
somehow.
didn't grow up in it, because they probably weren't even born yet, right?
No.
But you see the footage, you see the history of it,
Yeah.
and you realize, oh, this is why this business is so great. You know what I mean?
Yes.
And like I said, Henry comes out with those tights. He has a little bit of that Razor Ramon on it. You
Yes.
know what I mean? And when he was in the Outsiders, and you got to love it, man.
Oh
The
yeah.
Spine Busters, all that old
Oh
school
yeah, it's
wrestling that's
great.
still good today, man.
Oh yeah, I agree. I agree, man. So I mean, do you want to close it out, man? You got any closing thoughts on this episode, man, of our NWO flashback?
Oh man, we could probably go for hours on that, man. But
Oh yeah. I want to save it for future episodes, ladies and gentlemen.
yeah, man, of course. But just thankful that we were able to see this kind of era live.
Oh yeah.
See Hogan at his best, in my opinion.
Yeah. Oh
Uh,
yeah, man. Oh yeah, definitely.
see the
Definitely.
emergence of Goldberg, and
That was cool too. That kind of like the only thing that sucked about Goldberg, man, is that he just couldn't. He wasn't a great wrestler. He
right,
got exposed by William Regal, unfortunately, because like it was like 3 basic moves, wasn't it? Like a spear, then that power jack. I don't know. It was a spear. It was just 2 moves, wasn't it?
yeah,
It
the
was
spear and then the jackhammer.
jackhammer. That was
Yeah,
it. You know what I'm saying? At the
yeah,
time, it was like a Mike Tyson fight. It was like
right.
a 10-second match. You know what I'm saying? But it was kind of. I wish he would have made it more exciting, like when he fought like the big guys, you know what I'm saying? Like when he fought like Paul White, when he fought the Big Show, when he fought like Hugh Morris, Hugh Morris was a big dude, and unfortunately he was squashing these guys, and I was like, ah, come on, man, that's a big dude, man. You're gonna like squash him in 5 seconds.
Yeah, and like you said, William Regal exposed them, and
Yeah.
that match was here in El Paso on Nitro. So
No, really?
yeah, I saw that
Oh
live, but it's
wow, I know
really good
that, man.
match and shocking because nobody had ever manhandled Goldberg like that.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
of course, he got the win. But like I said, I was there live, so to see me to personally be able to see the NWO in action,
nice, dude.
Sting, all these other guys, just memories forever, man.
Oh
And
yeah,
it's a reason that I'm such a wrestling fan, and
yeah.
it's a reason why I'm the professor at this point,
Oh,
because
yes, you went from
you know,
historian to professor, my friend. That's
yes,
right.
sir, yes, sir, the
I
big part
feel
of who
you.
we are.
Oh hell yeah, man! Of course, man. And to me, it's like same thing, man. It's like just NWO was just I can't even say it in words, man. It was just so cool. I wish some of you kids were there, man, because it was so different. Like I look forward to Monday night because just like I had said on the podcast, like I would watch WCW or WWF at the time, and I would record the other one. So shoot, I was going to bed like at 12:01 in the morning because
Yeah,
it was like I think both of them were 3 hours, weren't they at one point?
yeah. At one point, Raw had to compete. They were always 2. They went to 3.
Yes,
And
exactly.
then
That's right.
Nitro would replay right after. So the
Yes,
true
that's
wrestling
right.
fans,
I forgot about that, man. That's right.
so you would stay up and try to catch it again.
Yes, man. It was great, man. It was just so much fun, man. And the music was cool. And the promos they would do, like the following announcement that's brought to you by
Yeah,
the NW. Oh, dude, that
it
was
was great.
so ahead of its time, man. You kids don't know. Just you guys get a chance, YouTube that, kids. For you youngsters out there, man, because it is so cool, man. And they don't do things like that anymore, unfortunately. You know what I'm saying? It's like now it's all business, man. That's what kind of sucks. You get older and you kind of see you see the Wizard of Oz behind the curtain. Like what's running this thing, and it's money, merchandise, and it just sucks, man. To me, that kind of kills it. I get it. They want to make a profit. They got a board and all this other crap, man. Stockholders and it is what it is, man. But like you said, Art, it's just so great that we grew up in that era where we witnessed it, we saw it. It was just great. It was just great all around.
Yeah, man. Yeah, definitely.
All right, man. So any closing statements, Mr. Professor Arthur?
No, man. Just this show, I have a good feeling about it. Let's see who else we can bring on. I have a lot of high school buddies that lived through this with me. And it would be cool
Nice.
to get maybe some current talent from PWL. Get a little bit of their input
Yeah.
on some stuff. And yeah, man, can't wait to bring more good shows.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. And we're gonna continue this, man, because there's plenty of history, plenty of wrestling history, and the professor is one of them. And I kind of have some history also, man, but nothing like Artie. Artie's very dedicated, and as was I back in the late '90s, early 2000s. And unfortunately, like all good things come to an end. Like the NWO, it's just when they jumped to WWF, it just wasn't the same. They were older dudes and just the presentation. I wish they would have presented them like them sneaking in or something to that point. No, Vince McMahon just said, "I'm going to inject the poison," and they shows NWO, and it's like, okay, you kind of killed the surprise, dude.
Yeah,
And
I
then
agree, man.
Kevin Nash got hurt, and then Hulk Hogan was just old, and Scott Hall was jobbing out. It's like it was just a shell of what the NWO was originally was at the time.
And, I agree with you, but props to that Hogan Rock match at WrestleMania, man.
Oh, dude, I saw that.
Yeah.
That was so cool, man, because like Hogan was supposed to be the bad guy, and that Toronto crowd was just going crazy for Hogan, man, and it just turned, man. It was awesome, man. I saw that live. That's when it had the elite. Remember those illegal black boxes?
Oh,
for,
I
for
do,
the
brother.
cable.
I
Oh,
know
dude,
well.
that's that's where I saw all my pay-per-views, man. Shoot, it was great. I didn't have to pay for a single pay-per-view back then.
I was the same way, brother.
But yeah, man. But I'll close it out, man. I'll just say that, hey, thanks to the professor, man, for making this possible with me, and it's a lot of fun, man. We always shoot the stuff, with wrestling, and it's great, having somebody to talk to about old school wrestling, because not a lot of people. I mean, me personally, I really don't have a lot of people that are into wrestling like I was back when I was younger. But yeah, man, more shows to come for sure, and let's see next week we can talk about, man, or I'm very interested in your opinion on ECW, back then, and the Monday Night Wars, and we'll get to all that fun stuff, and Vince McMahon and Eric Bischoff poaching, talent from each other at the time, and how different it was and how it changed the landscape of the business, in my opinion. But in closing, man, I am BC Dan, and as is the professor. Say goodbye, Professor.
See y'all later.
All right, the Professor Arthur Wine, and we will see you next week. Catch you later, guys.